Alright, students, let's get this bad boy finished up. So, find the zeros of the function solved by graphing on a calculator. Two ways you can find this. The first way is on your XY table. So when you're looking at your XY table, example in this first one of the zeros is going to be -4. So you'll see -5, -4, -3, and you'll see a 0 come in with that -4 as the Y. That's going to tell you that the -4 is the X value for your 0. So that's one way to do it. On all the ones where you've got an X value that's a whole number, like 23, 24, 26, it's going to give you those values on your table. On some of them, like 25, you're going to have to do the left and right boundary under second calculate. And I wish I had brought my calculator home, but I have not. But the left-right boundary, if you come into your teacher in the morning, she will show you that. Anyway, your calculator will give you that decimal value. You'll round it to the nearest hundredth. This one will look like this. And the last one, this graph is not going to cross the x-axis. It's actually going to be right up here on your screen. It won't come down and cross the x-axis, so you won't have a solution. You won't have a solution. It's not going to go down and cross. Continuing on, going to score some quadratic formulas to answer in simplest radical form. So the first thing I'm going to do is identify A, B, and C. I've got 2, 5, and -4. So I have -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times A times C, all over 2a. Take, I've got -5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus -32, so it's going to be a positive 32 over 4. And that's going to give me 57. So I'm going to have -5 plus or minus the square root of 57 over 4. It's going to be my X value. Your teacher may end up requiring that you write it on your test as -5 plus the square root of 54 over 4 and -5 minus the square root of 54 or square root of 57 over 4. But, however that goes. For this one, I've got A is -3, B is -2, C is positive 3. So I've got -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times A times C over 2a. At this point, just pushing it down, I've got positive 2 plus or minus 4. This is going to be plus 12 times 3, so plus 36 over 6. And when you attack this problem, you're going to get the square root of 40 up top. We can take and reduce the square root of 40 down into 2 square roots of 10. So I can take this problem, 2 plus or minus 2 square roots of 10 over -6, and I can factor out a 2 out of all of my pieces. So on this one, the actual reduced form is going to be 1 plus or minus the square root of 10, because that 2 divided out, over -3. Now going from this answer to here is generally extra credit. So if you don't see that, don't worry too much about it. But it is there for the extra points. I've got A is -4, B is 1, C is 1. So -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times A times C over 2a. This one reduces real quick. I've got 1 minus -16. So 1 plus 16 is going to give me -1 plus or minus the square root of 17 over -8. It's not going to reduce down at all, so we'll leave it right there. 22. Got to move that 3x to the other side. So I'm going to get x squared plus 3x minus 5 is equal to 0. A is 1, B is 3, C is -5. So I've got negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2a. At this point, going to reduce what I can. I've got negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 minus negative 20, so plus 20 over 2. From here, negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 29 does not reduce over 2, and that's going to be my x value. This one, pull that x from both sides, and we're going to pull that 5 from both sides. So it's going to cancel out on our right side, and we're going to be left with 3x squared minus 2x, and then minus 5. Want those a, b, and c values in order the way we like seeing them. From here, I've got negative b, so negative negative 2 or positive 2, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all over 2a. So I've got 2 plus or minus the square root of 4. 20 times 3 will be 60 over 6. I'm going to have to slide this down here. I've got 2 plus or minus the square root of 64 over 6. You'll notice 64 is going to give us a perfect square. So we can break that down into 2 plus 8 over 6 and 2 minus 8 over 6. This is going to give us 10 over 6. I'm going to reduce that to 5 over 3. So 5 over 3 is going to be one of my answers for x. And then my other answer is going to be negative 6 over 6 or negative 1. So this one's going to bust all the way down. This next one will as well. I've got negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. 18 squared minus 4 times 81 times 1. All over 2 times 2. Now, we've got 18 squared minus 4 times 81. They're both going to be 324. They're both going to be 324, so we have 324 minus 324 going to give us a 0 up here. So I've got negative 18 plus or minus 0 over 2. The plus or minus 0 goes away. It doesn't matter if you add or subtract 0, you get the same number. It'll just be negative 18 over 2 or negative 9 for x. And that is page 4.